صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. فويل للمصلين. فويل للمصلين. فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. Indeed, we have granted you, O Muhammad, al-Kawthar, so pray to your Lord and sacrifice to him alone. Indeed, your enemy is the one cut off. Salawat.
पर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अंधेरे अंधेरे यतीमों से छुप कर सारे कब्र ज़हरा अली रो रहे हैं। अंधेरे अंधेरे यतीमों से छुप कर सरे कब्र ज़हरा अली रो रहे हैं। अंधेरे अंधेरे यतीमों से छुप कर सरे कब्र ज़हरा علی رو رہے ہیں۔ تمہاری مصیبت بلاؤں گا کیسے، میں بچوں سے آنسو چھپاؤں گا کیسے، تمہیں یاد کر کے جو روئیں گے بچے، میں بچوں کو اپنے مناؤں گا کیسے، تصور میں زہرا سے کر کے یہ باتیں جھکائے سر اپنا علی رو رہے ہیں۔ کبھی آنسوؤں کو چھپاتی ہے زینب، کبھی بائیوں کو اٹھاتی ہے زینب، کبھی گھر کے آنگن میں آتی ہے زینب، کبھی ماں کے حجرے میں جاتی ہے زینب، کبھی رو کے دکھیا یہ کرتی ہے نوحہ، اٹھو اماں فیضہ علی رو رہے ہیں، اٹھو شہزادی ہوا ہے اندھیرا، تمہارے بنا وہ کہاں سو سکے گا، میں جاؤں گا واپس تو بولے گا بابا، میری ماں کہاں ہے بلا دو خدا را، اکیلے جا کر چراغ آنسوؤں کا سر قبر زہرا علی رو رہے ہیں۔ ہے شہر نبی میں سما کربلا کا، نہ کوئی تسلی نہ کوئی دلاسا، ترستے ہیں گھر میں یتیمان زہرا، کوئی آ کے دیتا نہیں ان کو پرسا، حسین و حسن کا کہیں ہے کہ گریا، کہیں میرے مولا علی رو رہے ہیں۔ کبھی اس جگہ کو نہ بھولیں گے مولا، یہ کچھا ہے مقتل دل مرتضیٰ کا، یہاں سے نہ گزرے حسن باد زہرا، ستمگر نے مارا تھا یوں تازیانہ، محمد کی بیٹی زمیں پر گری تھی، محمد کی بیٹی زمیں پر گری تھی، یہاں بیٹھے تنہا علی رو رہے ہیں، وہ لمحے ہیں مشکل علی کو بلانا، وہ پہلو پہ جلتے ہوا در کا گرنا، وہ آہوں کا بھرنا، وہ زخموں کا گھسنا، شہادت وہ محسن کی زہرا کا رونا، تکلم ابھی تک اسی بے کسی پر، لحد میں بھی مولا علی رو رہے ہیں، اندھیرے اندھیرے یتیموں سے چھپ کر سر قبر زہرا علی رو رہے ہیں. پر محمد علی محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
جناب سیدہ کے حوالے سے ایک استغاثہ کے چند شعر آپ کے سماعتوں کی نظر پیش خدمت ہے. ایک صلوات پڑھ دیجئے محمد و آل محمد پر. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ. مل کے پڑھیں. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ. بلند آواز میں. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا. ہم تیری عطاؤں کے طلبگار ہیں بی بی. ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا. کب ہوگی بھلا پوری دلوں میں ہے جو حسرت. کرنی ہے ہمیں آپ کے روزے کی زیارت. کرنی ہے ہمیں آپ کے روزے کی زیارت. ہم روضہ شبیر کے زوار ہیں بی بی. ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی. بلند آواز میں. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا. ہم لوگ جلوسوں میں کفن پہنے ہوئے ہیں. کب خوف شہادت سے قدم پیچھے ہٹے ہیں. کب خوف شہادت سے قدم پیچھے ہٹے ہیں. جان دینے کو تیار تھے تیار ہیں بی بی. ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا. شبیر پہ رونے کا گھر کو اصلاح ہو. جنت کے عوض ہم کو عطا کر وہ بلا ہو. جنت کے عوض ہم کو عطا کر وہ بلا ہو. گر خلد کے ہم لوگ بھی حقدار ہیں بی بی. ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی. یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ ماشاءاللہ یا سیدہ یا. کوئی بھی مصیبت کبھی نزدیک نہ آئے. دنیا کا کوئی غم نہ کبھی ان کو ستائے، دنیا کا کوئی غم نہ کبھی ان کو ستائے، جو لوگ شہ دین کے غم خوار ہیں بی بی، ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی، یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سید یا فاطمہ، سجاد کا صغرا کا تمہیں واسطہ دے کر، سجاد کا صغرا کا تمہیں واسطہ دے کر، آتی ہے دعا ایک یہی سب کے لبوں پر، آتی ہے دعا ایک یہی سب کے لبوں پر، دیں ان کو شفا، دیں ان کو شفا، لوگ جو بیمار ہیں بی بی، ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی، بلند آواز میں یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سید، عباس علمدار کے بازو کی قسم ہے، وہ ہاتھ رہے باقی اٹھاتا جو علم ہے، وہ ہاتھ رہے باقی اٹھاتا جو علم ہے، بچے بھی ہمارے تو علمدار ہیں بی بی، ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی، ازلان و کریم اتنا کرم کم نہیں ہوتا، بی بی سے ہمیشہ ہی بنا مانگے ہے ملتا، بی بی سے ہمیشہ ہی بنا مانگے ہے ملتا، ہم لوگوں کی ہر لمحہ نگہدار ہے بی بی، ہم آپ کے بچوں کے عزادار ہیں بی بی، سب مل کے پڑھیں یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ یا سیدہ یا سیدہ یا فاطمہ، برائے تاجیل ظہور امام زمانہ باوز بلند صلوات۔
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات، اللہم صلی علی Mu'mineen, today's Ruhani Majlis, first Majlis is by Bande Khuda for the Sale Sawab of Maroom Rajab Ali Bhai Pardhan, Maroomins of Panjwani family, Maroomins of Pardhan family, Maroomins of Mamdani family, and Kul Maroomins. Next Majlis is by Gulzar Bhai and Iqbal Bhai Manji family for the Sale Sawab of Maruma Khatija Bhai Binti Jairaj Mehrali for her birthday Majlis today, and also for the Sale Sawab of Maroom Haji Roshan Ali Fazal Manji, Maroomins of Fazal Manji family, Maroomins of Jairaj Mehraj family, and Kul Maroomins. And the last Majlis is for Maruma Sugra Bhai, Maruma Fatima Bai, Marum Rajab Ali Bai, Marum Hussein Bai, and Kul Marumins. Can I request you humbly be kind enough to recite Surah Fatiha for Kul Marumins? Al-Fatiha. Mu'minin, we are honored here tonight to have a young man who I would like to request upon for spoken word. Please let's welcome him with a loud Nari Salawat, Brother Zain Haidar Awan. Bar Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad Salawat.
Two poems, one in honor of Sayyidah Fatima and the second poem in honor of Sayyidah Zainab, for the happiness of the Imam of our time, for his reappearance to be hastened, and for the safety of the Muslims, mu'mineen, who are commemorating the tragedy of Sayyidah Fatima. Please recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The first poem is entitled, and inshallah, I'll wrap up in the 12 to 15 minutes allocated, if not before. The first poem is entitled, What of the Nights of Power? It's based upon the hadith which likens Sayyidah Fatima, salamullah alayhi, to the night of Qadr. To knock on the door of grace is the etiquette of angels, they say. They have been taught and embraced. Here stands the angel of death himself, seeking permission before permitting himself to the soul of the seal of prophethood. And I see Jibreel, head bowed, awaiting permission to enter. Did you seek permission, O Gabriel, when revelation descended on the heart of Muhammad? But for this house sits the beloved of Muhammad, the protector and the enigma of the divine grace. The Zahir apparent was the fleshed heart of Muhammad. The Batin esoteric soul lies within the daughter he will go on to call his mother. On the night of power, when the verses were revealed, when men could not quantify and comprehend the power of it, the divine asked, and what of the nights of power? I wonder, as Fatima was the night of power and the mystery of her grave was buried deep for others to reflect, when Ali was buried in mystery and struck amongst the nights of power, and God revealed years later his sacred burial site. How far is that dawn when the mystery revealed of the Qadr night that was buried? At that time, alas, her shrine others will find. So why do they call her the night of power? Is it because she too will be revealed when the stars align and the Mahdi will rise to seal the fate of our destiny, an anticipated dawn for the reveal of the night of destiny? She is Laylatul Qadr. With a movement of her hands, the fate of man can change. She commands with her voice. The ground quakes in tandem with her, that trembles as she mourned. Where is her Muhsin? Tell Fatima not to mourn, they would say. Her weeping causes the trees in grief to sway, and the sun no longer sits above the desert dunes. What grief strikes the soul of the woman who prays for others before herself and spreads knowledge scattered on peaks collected in her lap? And what is the night of power, they ask, that her sons refer to their mother as such? And the divine spreads his name across the skies on the earth so we could try and comprehend the godsend, the union, and our arrival. But what of Fatima's names? I find the ground whispers she is Abida, the devout and devoted Al-Qanita, subdued in the divine names as though breaths bead her tasbih of love, Al-Adila, who when she judges is fair and right, Al-Alima, the absolute complete mind. Al-Aliya, she is Ali in the feminine form, the defender of Ali's right. And Al-Amila, who is in God's path, a strive. Afdalun Nisa, no woman can dare to suspend her right. And when she retreats to her mihrab, she becomes Al-Arifa, the possessor of secrets divine. Az-Zahra, the chaste and protected. Al-Aziza, the utmost respected. Al-Basita, who maximizes prosperity, and in adversity and calamity, she is Sabira, the patient. For in her lies the divine enigma and nestled intrinsic awe. She is Batina, Al-Batul, the purest of them all. Bad'at al-Rasul, the sapling that blossomed a forest from the flesh of prophethood. Dania, the woman of true liberty. Durran Nur, for with her footsteps scattered the gems of light that even angels descend to gather and take back to God's light. And when she spoke in the court of the tyrant, she became the queen that on the mountain of eloquence resides. Al-Fasiha, Al-Fatiha, she is the opening, the flowering of guidance. Al-Kamila, the completion. For with her began the Imamate, and with her blood it will seal. She is Habiba, the beloved of the beloved, the lover and the loved. Hajia, the pilgrim that the Kaaba itself awaits, and her soul is the custodian of divine wisdom. Hakima, Halima, for have you seen a queen so gentle that cannot tolerate the cries of a captive, of an orphan, of the destitute? So she gives when she fasts the noble Sa'ima, as she is a Sahibat al-Atiyya, giver of goodness. Hadira, she who was present in the call of God, and when they tried to sanction her mourning, they did not understand. She is God's Hurriya. No man can contain her freedom. Hujjata, the mother of the proofs of mankind, and is the proof upon them. A Sadiq would say, who on the Hijaz plains where daughters were buried, she in the prophetic glance was raised. Al-Hijaziyya. And on the scales of motherhood, tell me of a father that can call his daughter Abiha. For her mercy cannot be contained. Hania Kitab, the mother of the book. Hawr al-Insiya, the angels metamorphosized. Al-Jalila, Al-Jamila, the woman of stature sublime. Kalimatul Baqiyya, whose words till the end of days we will recite. For in truth she is crowned Al-Karima, the glorious. And she is the sign that proved that those that doubted Muhammad, Al-Kawthar, that flows in gratitude in a river that will never drive. She is Al-Mardiyya, who is God's content. Al-Radiyya, who is content with his will. For even Maryam knows that Fatima is Maryam Al-Kubra. She is Al-Mubarakah, the blessings of her womb, blessed salvation, immaculate conception. She is of noble birth. She is Al-Najiba, Al-Musaliha. From her revolutions are birthed Al-Mutahhara, Al-Tahira, the thoroughly purified, the purifier, and Ali's counsel to his troubled heart, Al-Nasiha. She will stand witness to his broken heart, Nadhiratul Bashar, the watchful eyes upon mankind, Al-Najiyya, a savior that says even though she is wounded and cries, Fizza, I am behind the door, An-Nuriya, that obliterates darkness with her light, and even if they were to set her door alight, she still stands. An-Naqiyya, At-Taqiyya, As-Sadiqa, the source of the Imamat light. As-Salihah, the witness. As-Salima, in perfect submission. For upon the seal of prophethood, she is Ash-Shahida. From her blossoms the gardens of might and light. She is Ash-Shajar At-Tayyibah, the tree of purity, and in her power she is Ad-Dahira. For enwrapped all of these titles, he crowned her and called her Az-Zahra. She is Fatima. So what of the nights of power? For her planets strung as prayer beads, the cosmos orbiting around her feet. She is the night of power revealed. And what of those nights and of those days that to nights turned? How do you bury such power, Ali? Mountains to dust crumble to make her mound. Ali recites the names of Fatima as he rises. The sun yearns to be her light. Tonight the moon in shyness hides. The clouds to be her shroud. So the stars to her grave. For the angels etch an epitaph to the skies. Come, Father of earth and dust. Abu Turab in the shyness of the moon. Bury the night of power. Laylatul Qadr must return back. And I hear him whisper to the ground. And what of the nights of power? وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Salawat. The second and final poem is about Sayyidah Zainab and also refers back to the tragedy of Sayyidah Fatima. The daughter of the mother of her father, Zainab, you are the coolness to the eyes of your brother. You are the gem encased in Ali's spiritual power, the beauty that defended God's throne and its honor, the standard bearer that did not let the standard bear alone. You, Zainab, are the sea of eloquence that in the face of ignorance flows. Zainab, you are the army of God. How foolish they consider you but one. And when she walks, her steps spring forth revolutions that cannot be undone. You are the moon to the moon of Hashemites. Honor proudly bows at your feet. And how Hashemite youth honored you before the departure from home. Who is left now to prepare you for the streets? Now that you are alone, so when they heard you in the court, the tyrant himself accepted defeat. You are the woman who crumbled the devil and his kingdom. You are the mother who raised valiant, courageous sons. You are the preparer of Akbar into the battle, the lion that fought thousands with a single stance. The single glance of Zainab looking at Akbar. Zainab, the beauty of her father reduces you when I translate. You defended Ali's honor. Al-Aqila, Al-Fadila, there are no titles that do you justice. So al-Masa'ib, the mother of griefs and misfortune and the mother of our right. Zainab is the mother of Masa'ib. Who consoles Zainab with her heartbreak and grief? Who consoles you for when you and your brother you weep? Pray, is it the same sky that torn under Ali after Zahra would cry? I see the desert console Zainab as the earth consoled Ali, and as fire ripped Ali's house, so her tents they burnt ferociously. And when he fell from his horse, I saw the earth rise as the mountain of patience. The earth circumambulates her feet. The daughter of Abu Turab, the father of dust, now places dust in her palms and rise. Here is Zainab, the valiant, broken, burnt, bloodied, and battered. And when the dagger hacked 12, it had struck the sun into the sky. For if the soul of Zahra was there at the final moments of Hussein, the daughter of Zahra witnessed it alive. She in the flesh saw how from flesh they tore her brother apart. 12 hacks of a blunt dagger to a throat thirsty from 3 days straight. Blood bathed the brother that her mother bore with such love and affection. How did you bear that time, O mountain of patience, when he would turn his back to see if the tents were still safe and none had violated their sanctity? Zainab calls, my brother, I am with you, the earth and the sand and my Lord as my witness. I was there when Akbar fell, when Abbas's flag you brought and Qasim's mutilated body I saw. When you wiped your beard with the blood of your son, I wept tears into my palms so that your face I would wash. And when none was left, I helped you mount the mountain of patience to your horse. I prayed with Layla to the Lord who returned Yusuf to Yaqub. I prayed for the sake of your lonely heart, which was broken many times in one day. I saw when you would run and fall and run and fall. And when you arrived at the hacked body of Ali and al-Akbar, I too beaded the rosary, calling Ya Ali, Ya Ali. And when you lost sight at his brutal departure, the beautiful sight, do you think my eyes could survive knowing that such affection and affliction had fallen my brother in one night? And when your back it broke, when Abbas's arm severed and his bloodied eye parted for you to see. Hussein, you saw one broken heart, but I saw two brothers die at once instantly. And when you would weep for Abbas in your back, you held and cried. I would hide my broken back like our mother would hide her wounds till she died. But I bore all your trials and I witnessed your tribulations. And when you whispered into the night prayers, it was I who kept your candle alive to pray. I would whisper your supplications so that the world again would echo. I ran to your hand for that one final embrace. But the arrows were between us, and the fire and the ashes did you see? A reply comes from the sunken sky. A brother responds to his broken sister's plea. Hussein says, Zainab, as you rose with the earth to witness my final moments, my lips were parched and my thirst unatoned. No, Zainab, as you rose with the earth, my head on a spear was raised, so in return I would see how the children scattered across the plains and into the blistering night scream like the beads of a tasbih. Zainab, I saw you then when you saw me for the last time. And with every hack they smacked, what killed me was your tearful and broken heart. You thought you were alone when you mounted upon your horse. I witnessed how you went from town to village, and I saw your painful course. I asked to my Lord, is it the same sky under the torn stars? Ali after Zahra would cry, is this my Zainab that is in the desert alone under this? And does she rise? Did you weep all alone? But I wept when you would watch. How can they consider you to be indeed one? For Zainab, wherever you walk, my soul before you runs, and she rises, as though the stars have sunken to her eyes. For now no moon will dare to hang above her head when the moon of Hashemites has died. She would have succumbed to these wounds, but Zainab not only persists, but like the rose, she continues to rise and continues to rise. With every breath she beads the rosary of resistance, her hands tied with Hussein's similar intimate supplication, shackled hands that clutch his flag with every step she recites. And they say, with the greatest of mountains comes the greatest of echoes. And we, O Zainab, will call your rosary of resistance. And how you exclaim then, we will call with your call, an echo of proclamation, never to humiliation, never to humiliation. Hayhat min nadillah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
الصلوات नारे तकबीर नारे रिसालत नारे हैदरी क्यों कर खुशी न आपको मरने की हो भला क्यों कर खुशी न आपको मरने की हो भला तुम आज गम से छूट गई गम तुमसे छूट गया तुम आज गम से छूट गई गम तुमसे छूट गया दुनिया में हाय तुम पे न क्या क्या हुई जफा दुनिया में हाय तुम पे न क्या क्या हुई जफा पहलू सकस्ता ज़रबते दर से हुआ जो था पहलू सकस्ता ज़रबते दर से हुआ जो था मोहसिन सिक्कम में कत्ल हुआ वा मुसीबता मोहसिन सिक्कत में कत्ल हुआ वा मुसीबता बाजू पे ताज़ियाना लगा वा मुसीबता सलवात
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى الجوهرة القدسية البتول العذراء فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين وبعلها أمير المؤمنين وقائد الغر المحجلين وبنيها الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم العنين. أما بعد، قال المعصوم عليه السلام: من عرف فاطمة حق معرفتها فقد أدرك ليلة القدر. وإنما سميت فاطمة لأن الخلق فطموا عن معرفتها. For the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of Yom al-Humeen, of the graves of the Shuhada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam, Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. You have gathered in order to mourn that lady that is beyond comprehension. When you come to mourn Abi Abdullah or any of the other Imams, the custodian of those tears is Az-Zahra alayha salam. Because the riwayat say that she will stand at the doors of Jannah. When they will say to her, Zahra, enter. And she will say, my Lord, أريد أن يعرف قدري في هذا اليوم. I wish these people to understand my true worth on this day. And at that moment, tongues of fire will come out, and all those that took away her haqq, they will pull them into the depth of hell. And all those that oppressed her children will be taken. And then they will say to her, now Zahra, enter. But again she will stop, and they will say to her, Zahra, why do you stop? Says, my Lord, I won't enter into Jannah until all those that shed a tear on my son Hussein enter. And then the reply comes, Zahra, not only will those that cried over your son Hussein enter, but even those that clothed those that cried over Hussein, even those that gave water to those that cried over Hussein, even those that fed or said something nice to those that shed a tear for Abi Abdullah, they too shall enter into Jannah. And the riwayah continue, says that she looks across the plains of Mahshar, she sees individuals that have been shackled, ready to be taken towards hell. But كتب بين عينيهم, written between their eyes, is هذا محب فاطمة. This is a lover of Fatima. She'll say, my Lord, how is this possible? These individuals that are my lovers are being taken towards hell. The reply will come, Zahra, today is your day. You do as you please. And the fifth Imam says that my mother will pass over the plains of Mahshar, picking up these individuals and doing shifa'ah for them in the same way that a bird flies over the earth, picking seeds off the ground. The point being that the custodian of your tears for Abi Abdullah and all the other A'imma is Az-Zahra alayha salam, then it begs the question that who is the custodian of the tears that fall from your eyes for Az-Zahra? Who is the custodian of those tears? Who will do shafa'ah for you for the tears that you shed for Zahra? Is it the Holy Prophet? No, we don't have a riwayah. So who is it? And this is where you will understand the maqam of this lady. It says, Inna Allah yarada li rida Fatima. Says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy. No. The happiness of Allah is the happiness of Az-Zahra. وَيَغْضِبُ لِغَضَبِهَا. And his anger is the anger of Zahra. It's not that Zahra is angry when Allah is angry. No. Allah is angry when Zahra is angry. This is the riwayah. He is happy when Zahra is happy. In Ilm al-Kalam, when you study the Aqaid, you know that there is no change within the hal, within the state of Allah. Allah has no emotions. He is constant. But you see, this is the system that He has put in place. That wherever He says my happiness and my anger, it means the happiness of Zahra and the anger of Zahra. So if you ever want to look at your life and say, is Allah happy with me or is Allah angry with me? Look at how you are living your life and then compare it to what Az-Zahra alayha salam had said and say, if these actions will make Zahra happy, then Allah is happy. But if they will anger her, then Allah is angry. So the custodian of your tears that you shed for Az-Zahra is none other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is her maqam. She's beyond comprehension. The sixth Imam says, من عرف فاطمة حق معرفتها فقد أدرك ليلة القدر. Says the one who understands Fatima as is her right to be understood. فقد أدرك ليلة القدر. This person has uncovered and unlocked the secrets of the night of Qadr. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, He says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. O mankind, you cannot comprehend what the night of Qadr is. But knowing the arrogance of man, he tries to rationalize it for them. Laylatul Qadr khayrun min alfi shahr. You should know that the night of Qadr is better than 1,000 months. That's enough for you. But the night of Qadr is far greater than that. And so the sixth Imam says that the one who understands Fatima as is her right to be understood, فَقَدْ أَدْرَكَ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. He has uncovered the secrets of the night of Qadr itself. But then he goes one step further in another narration. He says, not just that this person has uncovered the night of Qadr, but he says, Zahra is Laylatul Qadr. Zahra is Laylatul Qadr. And there are so many different riwayat, so many different ahadith about this. Allama Majlisi, when talking about the ayat of Surah Dukhan, ayah 2 and 3, where we say in the surah, وَالْكِتَابِ الْمُبِينَ إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ, he says this Kitab Mubin is none other than Ali ibn Abi Talib. And this layl, this night that is being spoken about, where this Kitab Mubin was revealed on, he says, Layla, here is Zahra alayha salam. Allahumma salli ala says that Kitabun Mubin is Ali. Layl is Zahra. Says that when the Kitabun Mubin married the night, it became Mubarak. Hence, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. Zahra is beyond comprehension. And the sixth Imam in that first narration, Man arafa Fatima haqqa ma'rifatiha faqad adraka laylatul qadr. He says, وَإِنَّمَا سُمِّيَتْ فَاطِمَةً لأن الخلق فطموا عن معرفتها. But she has been named Fatima for this reason, that mankind shall never be able to understand her truly. They will always be removed, futimu, to remove. They will always be removed from her true ma'rifah, from her true understanding. See, having a small amount of ma'rifah of Hazrat Zahra, you know what the result of it is? Everything that you see around you, this whole solar system that is rotating, this whole universe that is moving. The fifth Imam, Imam Al-Baqir, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayh, he says, ala ma'rifatiha darat al-qurun. It says it is based because of knowing her that this solar system moves. That this whole system that you see in front of you, these rotating planets, these galaxies, this whole universe, the reason why it is moving is because it understood Az-Zahra alayha salam. How can we comprehend this lady? That when she is born as a rahmatu rahmatan lil alameen, daughters are a mercy. Daughters are a mercy. But she comes as a mercy to the mercy of all of mankind. And when she comes as a mercy to him, the riwayah says, وَإِذَا دَخَلَتْ عَلَى النَّبِي صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ, when she would come and enter into the room where the Holy Prophet was, he would do four things. قَامَ إِلَيْهَا. Usually this is translated as he would stand for her. But the word here used is قَامَ إِلَيْهَا. It isn't for him to stand. It is that he would stand and move towards her. There's a difference between just standing, but he would stand and move towards her. قَامَ إِلَيْهَا وَرَحَّبَ بِهَا. And he would say, and he would welcome her. وَقَبَّلَهَا or وَقَبَّلَ يَدَيْهَا. He would kiss her or kiss her hands. وَأَجْلَسِهَا مَجْلِسَهُ. And he would place her and make her sit in his own seat. This was how the Holy Prophet dealt with the Zahra. But it never formed the sunnah of the Prophet. It never became sunnah You don't find it in any of the books. Every other action of the Holy Prophet became sunnah for his ummah. But this action in regards to his daughter Fatima never became sunnah for this ummah. That every single human being after this point, whenever your daughter, if Allah blesses you with a daughter, whenever she enters, qama ilayha, stand up for her. It never became sunnah for the ummah. Why is it the case? In fact, there were many other great individuals that were fathers. Don't even look too far. Amirul Mu'mineen, great Ali with all his virtues, with all his fada'il, and a daughter like Zainab alayha salam. But yet you don't see Ali standing for Zainab. Every time she walked into a room, there are no riwayat that you will find. Imam al-Kadhim had Fatima Ma'suma, salamullah alayha, but yet you don't find any riwayah. Every time she walked in, he would stand for her, he would run towards her, he would kiss her hands, he would welcome her, he would sit her on his seat. So then one must conclude that these were not the actions of a father. These were not the actions of a father, but rather this was something greater that was being shown here. And how is it that we can understand it? He will turn around and say, yes, I'm a man like you, ana basharun mithlukum. I am a man just like you, but I receive wahi. Says, although I am a man like you, but I have a level above you, and that is that I receive revelation. Now whatever I do, مَا يَنْتَقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ, that I do not speak. The Quran says, this man that is in front of you, that you may think is a man just like you, there is one fundamental difference between you and him, and that is, this man does not speak, nor does he act of his own accord, but it is only what we order him to do that he does, that he says. So now, when she enters, qama ilayha is not a father standing for his daughter or running towards his daughter, for that would have become sunnah for the whole ummah. But rather, when she comes into the room, Risalat stands and runs towards Fatima. Risalat goes forward and welcomes Fatima. Risalat bows down and kisses the hands of Fatima. Risalat takes Zahra and places her upon the seat of Risalat. Allahumma salli ala. How will you understand who Zahra is? She is beyond understanding. These are those maqamat, these individuals that have been given to us. Read زيارة جامعة كبيرة. إن ذكر الخير كنتم أوله وأصله ومعدنه ومأواه ومنتهى. That wherever there is good, O Ahl al-Bayt, you are the origin of it. You are the roots of it. You are the branches of it. You are the peak of it. You are the pinnacle of it. This is that place. وَمُخْتَلَفِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Mukhtalif al-malaika means what? That there is a coming and going of the angels towards them. Meaning from the moment that the Holy Prophet closed his eyes upon this earth, the comings and the goings of the angels did not stop to this household. In fact, the riwayah says, post the death of the Holy Prophet, Jibreel would come down and he would console Zahra alayha salam, and he would tell her of the state of her father within the barzakh. He would come and tell her of events that are about to happen. Jibreel. Zahra is not of this world. And the sixth Imam, Imam Sadiq salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He says, Zahra hiya hawra'ul insiyya. Says Zahra is a hur in human form. The person that was there was saying, do you mean she's like a hur? the companion that was with the Imam. He says, do you think the hur for my younger brothers are those women made of light in paradise that Allah has created? He says, but do you mean Zahra is like a hur? The Imam says, no. Hiya hawra'ul insiyya. She is a hur that has come into human form. He says, I don't understand. So the Imam says to him, خَلِقَ النُّورَ فَاطِمَةَ قَبْلَ أَن يَخْلُقَ الْأَرْضَ وَالسَّمَاءَ. Says Allah created the light of Fatima before even He created the heavens and the earth. Says, but isn't Fatima human? Says, no, I've said to you, she is Hawra al-Insiyya. She's a hur in human form. Allah, once He created her light, He created her form in light, and He created her nur from His nur. And He placed her by the right side of the arsh. And there she dwelled for millennia. He said, Ya ibna Rasulillah, so what is it that Zahra would eat at that time, that she was next to the arsh of Allah? The Imam replies, says that the food of Zahra at that time, before anything was created, was tasbih, tahleel, tahmeed, takbir, this Allahu Akbar, this Subhanallah, this La ilaha illallah, this Alhamdulillah is what sustained Zahra. Many people are looking confused at me. Hazrat Zahra is beyond comprehension. How will you try and understand that lady who is a hur in human form, a lady that was created before creation, a lady that is the night of Qadr? There are so many other narrations that we could talk about her. The Zahra in Surah Zilzal, فَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا, says the ta'wil of this ayah, the ard is Zahra. Or for on that day she shall reveal what it is that happened. وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا, and Ali will be the one to say to her, Zahra, tell me, what is it that happened? Stay calm. There's so much that we can say about her. So many different riwayat. One more mind-blowing than the other. But what is it that she, salamullah alayha, wants from us? Because Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, every single one of them, they came as role models. And as Zahra alayhi salam came as a role model for us, not just for women. And there's Quranic precedents for it. In Surah At-Tahrim, ضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون, says, and tell them, and have we not given you the example of, for those who believe, the wife of Fir'aun, وَمَرْيَمْ ibnat Imran, and Maryam the daughter of Imran, as a role model for everyone. وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and Allah has given you examples of all those that disbelieve. Who? Imra'at Nuh wa Lut, that we have given for the disbelievers, an example of the disbelievers, the wife of Noah and the wife of Lut. Meaning that in the Holy Quran, and many times, the people came, as a relatively lengthy tradition of when Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, the brother of Amir al-Mu'mineen, returns from Ethiopia with his wife Asma. And the women ask Asma, they say, go ask Rasulullah, why is the Quran only speaking about men? It's always speaking in the masculine. And she goes to Rasulullah in this ayah of Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah 35. She goes to the Holy Prophet, says, Ya Rasulullah, that why is it that it only the women are saying that why is the Quran only speaking about men and the virtues of men? And the Holy Prophet, first of all, thanks her for that question, and he says, thank the ladies for asking such a good question. And then, as he's about to say something, an ayah comes down. إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصائمين والصائمات إلى آخر. This ayah is revealed to say, no, look, even when men are being spoken about in the Holy Quran, it applies to women as well. It applies to women as well. It's not just that if Allah is talking about the good in the masculine, that it's only men that are good, but rather it is both genders. So Hazrat Zahra is a role model for every single one of us. In fact, the Imam of our time, for whom every single Imam desired to be by his side, and every sage and every warner and every Imam and every Wali of Allah spoke about his coming. He says, for me, في ابنة رسول الله الأسوة حسنة. He says, for me, in the life of the daughter of Rasulullah is the best of role models. For Imam al-Hujjah. And then every Imam has different riwayat about their mother. They said that Zahra alayha salam, yes, we are the Hujjah of Allah upon the earth, but our mother Zahra is Hujjah over us. Every Imam says, yes, that we are the Hujjah of Allah upon the earth, but our mother is Hujjah over us. This is her maqam. So then what is it that she wants from us? One narration from her, and then we'll take it towards the Masa'ib. After the death of the Holy Prophet, Hazrat Zahra would go out and sit by the grave of Hazrat Hamza. Because the Muslims, this is in itself her Masa'ib, that they couldn't bear the crying of Zahra. Therefore it reminded them of what they did to her. She would sit under a tree and cry, and their enmity was such that they chopped down the tree, forced her out into the battlefields, and she would sit by the grave of Hazrat Hamza crying. Imam al-Hassan, Imam al-Husain with her. One day a man by the name of Mahmud ibn Lubayd comes to her. Says, Ya Sayyidati, why is it that Ali doesn't rise? Why is it Ali doesn't draw his sword and go and take back his haqq? Who is there that will stop Ali? Who is there that will stop him? Tell Ali if he rises, we're ready to go with him. Tell Ali take a stand and we're ready to stand by him to take back his haqq. Hazrat Zahra looks towards Mahmud ibn Lubayd and replies to him with just one line. Says, Mahmud ibn Lubayd, مثل الإمام مثل الكعبة. Says the example of the Imam is like that of the Kaaba. تؤتى ولا تأتي. Says Mahmud ibn Lubayd, the example of the Imam is like that of the Kaaba. You go to the Kaaba doesn't come to you. Says you're saying, tell Ali to rise. And you want him to make the first move. Says no, Ali is like the Kaaba. You go towards the Kaaba. You make your way towards the Kaaba doesn't come to you. We also have an Imam that we're awaiting. What have I done to take steps towards him? As he is my Kaaba. What have I done? Or is it that I'm sitting back passively and I'm just waiting for him to reappear? And when he comes, then I will magically become mu'min of the highest grade and then join him and go out on this excursion and will go after all of those that took part in the oppression of the Shi'as of Ahlul Bayt. And Or is it that I'm actively trying to do something to pave the way for him? Because history repeats itself. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says to his companion, says to him that history repeats itself. The actors may change, but the themes remain the same. If at that time people were not willing to stand by the side of Amir al-Mu'mineen, by the side of HIC, and raise their head above the parapet, to raise a voice against injustice, then in this day and age there are also people like that. There are people that will stay passive. Even though every morning they'll recite their dua, Ahad, innahum yarawnahu ba'ida wa narahu qariba. For them it's distance, for them it's far away, it's distant. But for us it's near, the reappearance. But yet they will still recite that dua, go to work and still live an immoral life. What have I done for my Imam practically? How have I paved the way for his reappearance? Or is it that my life has taken over? And anecdotally, I'll tell my children about the Imam. Anecdotally, I'll come and listen to a majlis. I'll raise my hands, Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, but after that I have nothing. Because my whole focus has been only the dunya, the dunya. It has not been my akhirah or the alam malakut. This heart has been allowed to dwell only in the dunya. And by the heart we don't mean that physical piece of flesh that is beating inside your chest. That spiritual heart, that batin. That they say al-qalb yataraddadu bayna al-mulki wal-malakut. The Arafah say that the heart, it is your doorway. It is the connection between the dunya and the malakut. That spiritual realm. When this heart is pure, it will enter those realms faster. Many people enter those realms unwittingly anyway. Every time you sleep, those things that you see in your dreams, that's your soul taking a tour of the malakut. When they come and you see, you get deja vu when you reach a particular place. Because that soul has already gone into those realms where time and space do not exist and has seen what is to come. So when this heart is not clean, then it can't connect with that malakuti realm. It is bogged down within this dunya. So even though they see the ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, سُنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. Says, and we shall show them our signs upon the horizons and within them, until they shall surely conclude that this is the truth. But I've lost sight of that truth. Because my relationship with my Imam is anecdotal. It's every now and then. I don't get up in the morning and think, what did my Imam do today? How is my Imam doing today? What did my Imam have to eat today? It may seem trivial, but if he was here in front of us, living amongst us, and we could see him, we may think like that as well. But because he is in ghaibah, we think he's hidden. The Imam isn't hidden. It's just that our sins hide him from us. When this heart, that is the doorway to the malakuti realms, to the batani realms, becomes dirty, and it can no longer see the reality that exists in front of them, Because the pure heart knows بيمنه رزق الوراء وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء ولولا حجة لساخت الأرض والسماء. The pure heart knows that because of him the dunya is being given his rizq. Because of him exists the heavens and the earth. لولا حجة لساخت الأرض والسماء. Were the hujjah not to be there, the heavens and the earth would collapse in on themselves. So again, what have I done for my Imam? مثل الإمام مثل الكعبة تؤتى ولا تأتي. You go towards your Kaaba. You don't wait for your Kaaba to come to you. And how is it? She defended her Kaaba. Ali is that Imam that never feared anything in his life. Ali is the Fatih of Badr, Hunain, Khandak, Jamal, Nahrawan. Ali is the one that faced every trial, every difficulty, without any fear. Every battle, Ali was at the forefront of every battle with no fear. But yet, when he decided, or when he finally buried the night, in the night, he sat by her grave and he began to recite his marthiyah. نفسي على ظفراتها محبوسة يا ليتها خرجت مع ظفراتي لا خير بعدك في الحياة وإنما مخافة أن تطول حياتي. Zahra, how Ali wishes that he had died alongside you. Zahra, how will Ali continue in this world without you? Zahra, Ali is not afraid of anything. That Ali that went to Badr, that Ali that was in Hunain, that Ali in Jamal. Now this Ali that faced the whole dunya with no fear. Now he says, وَإِنَّمَا مَخَافَةَ أَن تَطُولَ حَيَاتِي. Zahra, the only thing that Ali fears is that I'm going to have to live in this world without you by my side. كلا يا رسول الله عن سفيتك صبري. Ya Rasulullah, Ali did sabr upon every trial. But now when he buries the night in the night, he says, كلا يا رسول الله عن سفيتك صبري. Now Ali's sabr has finished, Ya Rasulullah. I can't take it anymore. That Zahra, that whenever he would walk in the room, she would run towards him, Ya Ali, nafsi laka al-fida, ruhi laka al-wiqa. Every time he would come, she would say, may my soul be sacrificed for you, O Ali. And now he sits by her grave saying, Ya Rasulullah, the sabr of Ali has finished. فَأَمَّا لَيْلِي فَمُصَحَّدٌ وَأَمَّا حُزْنِي فَصَرْمَدٌ. That now the nights of Ali will be sleepless. And now, Ya Rasulullah, my grief will be endless. Ya Rasulullah, you ask your daughter what this ummah did to her. Ya Rasulullah, you gave me an amana, but when I return this amana, it is not in the state that you gave it to me. Ya Rasulullah, you ask your daughter, what is it that this ummah did after you? Ya Rasulullah, what will Zahra tell you? That they came to the door of Ali and Zahra. They began shouting, Oh Ali, come outside, come and give bay'ah. They said, if you don't come out, we will burn down this house. She stood up to defend the Imam of her time. She went towards the door. She stood at the door. That this is the door of Wahi. Will you try and burn it down? This is the door that Rasulullah would come and recite ayat tatir for the whole year of the last year of his life. Every day he would come to this door. They say, send out Ali, this is none of your concern. She says, leave from here. They say, if you don't send out Ali, we will burn the house down. They say as they tried to push open the door, the hand of Zahra came out. She was also trying to shut the door. Kunfuth, seeing the hand of Zahra, he whips the blessed hand of Zahra. This is why your sixth Imam says that when my grandmother Zahra was being given ghusl by Amirul Mu'mineen, upon her arm was a black mark from the whip of Kunfuth. She pushes the door closed. They begin to gather firewood. They say, set fire to the house. They say, but what if Zahra is in? He replies, we're in. What does it matter if Zahra is in the house? Burn it down. They set fire to the door of Zahra. She stands behind it, pleading with them. This is the door of Wahi, but none will listen to her. She turns towards the grave of Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, Ya Abata, look at the state of your Zahra. She stands behind the door. At that moment, he turns to his slave Kunfuth. He says, kick open the door. They say that Kunfuth kicked the door. The burning door opened. Zahra crushed between the wall and the door. He said in the letter that he wrote to Muawiyah, when I realized Zahra was behind the door, as the door opened, I realized she was behind it. With all my force, I pushed the door against her. They entered the house. She called out, Ya Fatima, they've killed the child in my womb. She falls to the ground unconscious. They go inside. They tie ropes around the neck of Ali. They drag him. As Ali sees his wife in front of him, he raises his hands. Ilahi, my Lord, I have submitted to your command. Ilahi, sabbirni ala masabi Fatima. My Lord, give me sabr upon the Messiah of Fatima. My Lord, I listen to the command of Rasulullah. They drag Ali from the house. They say the Abba of Amirul Mu'mineen passed over the face of the unconscious Zahra. Zahra opened her eyes. Zahra forgets about the rib that was broken, the child that was killed in the womb. She turns to Fidda, says, where did they take Ali? Says, Bibi, they took Ali to the masjid. They say again, she placed her jilbab upon her. She took the shirt of Rasulullah with her, and she made her way into the masjid. Khallu ibn Am. Let Ali go. She sees Ali, ropes around his neck, sword against his neck. They're trying to force Ali to give bay'ah. The daughter of Rasulullah stands. Let Ali go. No one will listen to her. The riwayah says that Zahra, when seeing that no one would listen, she says, let Ali go. If you do not, I will raise my hands and pray to Allah to curse you all. At that moment, Ali turns to Salman, says, Salman, tell Zahra to go back home. Salman comes, says, Bibi Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying, go back home. She says, Salman, how do you expect me to go? Look how they have Ali. He says, Bibi, it is Ali himself that says go. He says, if you curse these people, Allah will send Qiyamah at this moment. Bibi, return back to the house. Zahra returns back to the house. But the days that followed, now Zahra is not that Zahra that they all knew. This is now Zahra who can no longer stand for long periods. The children see their mother lying upon the bed. Whenever a mother is ill within a home, in any home, the mother is the heart of a home. And when the children are seeing their mother in that state, weeks go by, Zahra stays on the bed. One day they say that Amir al-Mu'mineen was leaving the home. He turned back to look towards her lying on the bed. He said, Zahra, inshallah, Allah gives you shifa'ah soon. Ali turns to walk outside the door and Zahra replies, says, Ya Ali, no, my time is near, Ya Ali. They say Ali stopped, turned back towards, he placed his head in the lap of Zahra alayhi salam and began crying loudly. Zahra began to wipe away the tears of Ali. She began to give him his wasiyah, Ali, after me, غسلني في الليل. Ali, when you come to give me ghusl in the night. وحنطني بالليل. Ali, give me hunut in the night. وكفلني بالليل. And Ali, give me kafan in the middle of the night, so my enemies don't come to find out about my funeral. The days go by, and a day comes where she stands all of a sudden. The children happy that their mother Zahra is again standing. She's dressing her children, brushing their hair, happy. Amirul Mu'mineen happy, Ya Zahra, you're looking better. She sends Amirul Mu'mineen to the masjid. Ya Ali, you go, I'm feeling better. Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husain, she sends them to the houses of Bani Hashim. Then she returns back in towards her room. She turns to her handmaid, says, Asma, if you hear me do tasbih, know that I am alive. But Asma, the moment you hear my tasbih stop, know that I have gone to meet my father, Rasulullah. Asma says, I began pacing impatiently outside the room of Zahra, listening out for her tasbih. At one moment the tasbih stopped. She says, I called out to her, Ya Mawlati. There was no reply. Ya Sayyidati. There was no reply. Ya Binta Rasulillah. There was no reply. She says, I went inside the room and saw that the soul of Zahra had left her body. She says, I came back out not knowing what to do. At that moment, Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Husain returned. They came towards me. They said, Asma, Asma, where is our mother? She says, I said to them that your mother is sleeping. They said, Asma, this isn't the time for our mother to sleep. She doesn't usually sleep at this time. She said, first, why don't you have something to eat? They said, Asma, you know that we do not eat without our mother by our side. They realized something was wrong. They ran into the room. Imam al-Hasan first. As he reaches inside, he calls out, Oh Hussein, our mother has left this dunya. Imam al-Husain runs inside. They say Imam al-Hasan threw himself on the chest of his mother. Imam al-Husain went and he placed his face on the feet of his mother. Ya Ummah, kallimini, ana Husainon. Oh mother, mother, speak to me, I'm your Hussein. كلميني قبل أن يفارق روحي من جسدي. Oh mother, speak to me before my soul leaves my body. The boys run from the house. They're towards the masjid. Sabir Ali, patient Ali, that dealt with all the difficulties and the trials that this world had to throw at him. But when Hussein ran in and called out, Matat Ummuna, our mother Zahra has killed, the narration says, Qama Ali, Ali stood. فوقع على وجهه. Ali fainted and fell upon his face. They brought Amir al-Mu'mineen back to the house. The Muslims began to gather, hearing the news. Ali goes outside, says, there has been a delay. Everyone return to your home. We will let you know when the janazah is to happen. As the night set in, Ali began to prepare to give ghusl to his night. They say that Amirul Mu'mineen with Asma inside the room began to give ghusl. But before he began, he turned to Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husayn, said, go call Salman. Hi, Salmanu minna ahl al-bayt. Salman is from amongst us. Go call Salman. They say we ran, we went and knocked at the door of Salman. Salman says, I heard someone knock at my door in the middle of the night. I opened the door to find the two sons of Zahra standing there. Salman, my father Ali has said, come if you wish to take part in the funeral of Zahra. Salman says, they ran ahead, I ran behind them until we reached the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen. There we were told Amir al-Mu'mineen had said, nobody cry loudly in case the enemies find out that we are giving her ghusl and kafan, we are preparing for her funeral. He says, I looked around the room and the small children of Zahra, all of them were there biting their fingers, trying to stifle their cries, crying for their mother Zahra. He says, I too sat in the corner quietly crying for Zahra. He says, a short while later I saw the door of the room where Ali was given ghusl to Zahra open. Ali came running out from the room. He placed his head against the wall. He began crying out, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. I went to him, I said, Ya Ali, you were the one that told us not to cry loudly. Ya Ali, you yourself now cry loudly. Says to me, Salman, you have not done justice to me. Salman, today I have seen the wounds that Zahra hid from me. I have seen that arm that was whipped. Salman, how did Zahra breathe with that broken rib? Salman, today I understand. Every time she would stand, she would use Zainab for support. The ghusl and the kafan is done. Amir al-Mu'mineen calls Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husayn. Sayyida Zainab, he calls Kulthum. Come, give wida to your mother. Come, bid farewell to your mother. Last riwayah, they say that Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husayn and the children of Zahra came into the room. Bibi Zainab came, Kulthum came. They mourned. Then Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husayn came. Both of them held on to the body of their mother. They began crying so much that a voice came from heaven that Ali, separate the boys from their mother. The angels of heaven have begun crying. This is one place where a call was heard, and from the heavens upon the earth, upon the death of someone. Here children were mourning their mother, but there was another call that was in Karbala, where a father was mourning his child. Hussein held the lifeless body of his 6-month-old child to his chest. فَبَكَى الْحُسَيْنِ بُكَاءً شَدِيدًا. Hussein cried so loudly that the Maqatil say a voice came from the heavens. Hussein, leave the child. We have wet nurses waiting for him in heaven. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم يا حسين.
یا حسین یا حسین سب پڑھو یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
بلند آواز سے
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین. ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، 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 ہائے مظلومہ.
ماشاءاللہ بلند آواز سے
ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ. جیسے صدمے آپ بی بی سہ گئی بابا کے بن، گر یہ پڑ جاتے دنوں پر مثل شب ہو جاتے دن. ہائے معصومہ ہائے معصومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ.
ماشاءاللہ
فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ. ہے لقب سیدی کا تیرا جانتے تھے یہ سبھی، ظلم کے دربار میں تو پھر بھی جھٹلائی گئی. حق نہیں پایا حق نہیں پایا فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلوم فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ. تیرے در پر خود رسالت جھک کے کرتی تھی سلام، پھر بھی امت نے نہ سمجھا تیرا منصب اور مقام. در جلا ڈالا در جلا ڈالا فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے ماشاءاللہ بلند آواز سے نام مولا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا مٹ نہیں پایا تھا بی بی باپ کا غم قلب سے غم نیا ایک مل گیا ہے قتل محسن کا تجھے قلب روتا تھا قلب روتا تھا فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے زہرا ہائے مظلومہ بعد میرے پیار سے بچوں کو رکھنا یا علی بعد میرے پیار سے بچوں کو رکھنا یا علی نہ کبھی محسوس ہونے دینا مادر کی کمی اب چلی دکھیا اب چلی دکھیا فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ ماشاءاللہ بلند آواز سے ہائے مظلومہ زخمی پہلو کو سنبھالے ضبط غم کس طرح ہو جانے کیوں حسرت سے دیکھا کرتی ہے شبیر کو سوچتی ہے کیا سوچتی ہے کیا فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ سینہ شبر کو چوما اور گلا شبیر کا چومتے زینب کے بازو رو پڑی بے صبر کا کیا خیال آیا کیا خیال آیا فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا ہائے مظلومہ فاطمہ زہرا یا حسین 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 مل کے پڑھے یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے
فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد زندگی کی آنکھ نم ہے، زندگی کی آنکھ نم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، سب پڑھو ماشاءاللہ، زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، زہرا کے بعد رو رہا ہے دل کو تھامے شیر یزدہ ساجری، رو رہا ہے دل کو تھامے شیر یزدہ ساجری، تھم گیا سینے میں دم ہے، تھم گیا سینے میں دم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم، جیو ماتمی ماشاءاللہ، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد شبر و شبیر کی دھڑکن بھی زخمی ہو گئی، شبر و شبیر کی دھڑکن بھی زخمی ہو گئی، سانس شمشیر ستم ہے، سانس شمشیر ستم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد زندگی کی آنکھ نم ہے، زندگی کی آنکھ نم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد زینب و کلثوم نے پھر تو سحر دیکھی نہیں، زینب و کلثوم نے پھر تو سحر دیکھی نہیں، زندگی شام علم ہے، زندگی شام علم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد زینب و کلثوم نے پھر تو سحر دیکھی نہیں، زینب و کلثوم نے پھر تو سحر دیکھی نہیں، زندگی شام علم ہے، زندگی شام علم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے، فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد مل کے ماشاءاللہ بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد زندگی کی آنکھ نم ہے زندگی کی آنکھ نم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے عرش والے کے بعد عرش والے فرش والے سب ہی ماتمدار ہیں عرش والے فرش والے سب ہی ماتمدار ہیں نوح خوانی ہر قدم ہے نوح خوانی ہر قدم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے کہہ گئی فضا سے زہرا رکھنا بچوں کا خیال کہہ گئی فضا سے زہرا رکھنا بچوں کا خیال تم کو زہرا کی قسم ہے تم کو زہرا کی قسم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد بے کسی ہے غم ہی غم ہے فاطمہ زہرا کے بعد محمد بلند تر صلوات
سورة المباركة الفاتحة
السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن أجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وزهوره والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك التوعى وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك